Along with Apple Maps, Siri and voice dictation, which are built into iOS 6, have come under criticism for not working well, or as well as people expected. It appears that Scott Forstall's flawless Siri demos have created expectations that aren't met in practice. A common complaint is that voice recognition isn't accurate. Another complaint is that Siri and voice recognition require an internet connection. Natural voice recognition is a tough computational problem, and Apple has chosen to perform these functions in its servers rather than try to squeeze them into the phone. The Dragon Dictation app takes the same approach. iOS users need to understand that even though speech recognition has come a long way, it's far from perfect, and you still can't speak to the computer as you would a person. To get the best results, you will need to slow down and enunciate clearly. It may feel unnatural, I understand, but it makes the voice recognition work a lot better, and therefore it makes it much more useful to you. Let's start with a demonstration of voice dictation. Now, to do that, I actually need to disconnect from my Bluetooth keyboard, so I'll go ahead and do that. You'll see why in a second. You can use voice dictation in any application that uses a keyboard, so I'll just use Pages. And then Edit. And you see I needed to get the keyboard actually displayed on the screen so that I could get access to the little microphone button and activate voice dictation. So I'll go ahead and do that now and try it out. This is a test of voice dictation in Pages. And you see it was perfectly accurate. It just didn't punctuate for me. I can live with that, so I'll go ahead and give it a period, return. Now I think I'll try it again, only this time I won't enunciate clearly. I'll kind of slur my words. This is another test of voice dictation in Pages. Well, we're not going to Vegas. Didn't quite catch that last word. Now what I'll do is I'll just slow down and enunciate more clearly. Try it again. This is another test of voice dictation in Pages. And you see it was perfectly accurate. It just needed me to slow down for it. And that's really the message here is that you can get the voice dictation to work pretty well. You just need a quiet environment, which I have here. And you need to slow down a little bit. Sometimes it helps to even leave little momentary spaces between words. And you need to enunciate clearly, and that's really all it needs. Now, getting Siri to work for you is both a problem of speech recognition as well as concept recognition. If you ask Siri a question it doesn't understand, you'll get a silly answer or an evasive one. Let's try something simple like launching an app. Launch Pages. And there we are. So application launching is now in the behavioral repertoire of Siri, and that's a good thing. That makes for some useful hands-free operation. Let me try asking a question that I'm pretty sure Siri will know. Siri, what is Apple's stock price?
Apple closed unchanged yesterday at $666.80.
Siri does a pretty good job of tracking Apple and stock prices in general. What was Google's price?
Google closed unchanged yesterday at $760.80.
Now notice I didn't ask it for the stock price, but it understood the context of the question and it did a pretty good job of giving an answer. What do you think of Android Jelly Bean?
I think differently.
Not a bad answer. Give me directions to High Rolls, New Mexico.
I couldn't find any places matching high rolls.
Well, a lot of people can't find high rolls. I just seem to live in a neither world that doesn't exist for a lot of applications. Thanks anyway.
So,
There's an example of a nice evasive answer. So Siri isn't perfect, but you can get some useful information and work out of Siri if you are patient. It's possible to set up the iPhone 5 with the cellular radio turned off but with Wi-Fi turned on. This is useful when you're home and only want to use Wi-Fi in order to conserve battery power. When I'm home, I use FaceTime almost exclusively for calls, so Wi-Fi is all I need. Oddly, iOS doesn't make this easy to set up, and it's one of the few things that isn't. First, you have to turn on airplane mode. This turns off the cellular and the Wi-Fi radios. Then, while you're still in airplane mode, turn the Wi-Fi back on, and now you're in Wi-Fi only mode. It's kind of a stupid iPad trick, I know, but it works and it gets you where you want to be. You can do anything you would normally do via Wi-Fi, make FaceTime calls, send messages and email, or surf the internet. When you use messages, the app will inform you that you need to turn off airplane mode. This is one of the few cases where iOS indulges in nagware, and what's worse, the warning is wrong. Just click cancel and you'll be able to use messages like you normally would. NFC stands for Near Field Communication, and it's a technology that Apple continues to exclude from the iPhone. This has led to criticism that Apple is falling behind. But NFC isn't a particularly new technology, although its adoption by Google Android is fairly recent. The NFC Forum was established by Sony, Nokia, and Philips in 2004. It builds on radio frequency identification technology, which is used for embedded chips and ID badges. NFC enables two-way communication between devices over a very short range at a maximum data rate of about 400 kilobits per second. It can be used for non-contact payment systems such as Google Wallet and to help bootstrap file transfer over faster radio systems such as Bluetooth. Android Beam actually works this way. Now, Apple's answer to the non-contact point-of-sale function is, of course, Passbook, which presents an image of a barcode-like ticket which can be optically scanned. Since far more retailers use optical scanning than NFC, Passbook has the potential for much wider adoption. It's also more secure, in my opinion. NFC has the potential to allow transfer of information from the device without the user's knowledge or permission, whereas with Passbook, the user must deliberately present the ticket image to the scanner, so you're in much more control that way. Sadly, there doesn't seem to be a good peer-to-peer file transfer option for iOS users that's equivalent to Google Beam. There are a number of apps on the App Store that promise wireless file transfer via Bluetooth, but we found the process of pairing iOS devices via Bluetooth in these apps to be really finicky at best. Plus the file transfer rates, even using the latest Bluetooth 4.0, we found to be just frustratingly slow. What iOS badly needs is the equivalent of AirDrop, which uses Wi-Fi, so it'd be a little faster, And it is a little puzzling that Apple hasn't built AirDrop into iOS since it's been available for macOS since Lion. Now, it may be that Apple is working on something even better. But in the meantime, email enclosures still seem to be the easiest file sharing approach when you can't use iCloud. So that's our review and guide to the new iPhone 5. With a screamin' fast processor and LTE speed, the 5 is one of the best phones available, but not necessarily in a class by itself. There are many good smartphones out there, and the choice of which phone to buy is, I think, much more a matter of personal preference than in the tablet space. For instance, if you want a larger screen, you may have to look elsewhere than the iPhone. I wouldn't mind a larger screen myself. If you already own one or more Apple Mac or iOS devices, then the iPhone 5 will mesh with them beautifully. Documents, apps, and media can be shared effortlessly over iCloud. Now, whether it makes sense to upgrade from one of the previous iPhone generations depends on a lot of factors. Both CPU performance and LTE capability offer substantial improvement over the iPhone 4S, and these alone may be enough motivation for an upgrade, especially LTE. It's not very often that a next-generation device offers a factor of 10 improvement over the previous generation, but the iPhone 5 with LTE offers that improvement in wireless download speeds, as our test showed. With those kinds of speeds, you might decide you don't need wired internet at all. Now, if you're thinking about a gift for a young person this holiday season, consider the iPhone 5. It actually makes a reasonable first computer coupled with a Bluetooth keyboard, an Apple TV, and a monitor. It does most general computing tasks quite well, and the processor is faster than many computers of just 10 years ago. Not a bad place for a young person to start learning about computers, and there is a wealth of educational software on the App Store. Let me just say that one factor I don't think should influence anyone's buying decision is Maps. There's no doubt in my mind that Apple will fix whatever is wrong with Maps and make it a best-in-class product. Think about it this way. Could Apple fix Maps for $1 billion? Well, yeah, I think they could. I doubt the entire development effort for Maps so far has cost $1 billion. Now, $1 billion is a heck of a lot of money, but it's less than 1% of Apple's cash reserves. So they'll fix Maps, but they won't stop there. Siri is a form of search. Maps is a form of search. Apple's ultimate destination is search with a capital S. If I were a Google exec, I'd be worried. Because if Apple does search, they'll be successful, unlike Microsoft. Well, that's what I think. I'm Mark Hippen. Thanks for watching.